Welcome to another episode of Prasad Pod. I'm your host, Jarrell Prasad.
And I'm your co-host, Paul Campbell.
Today, we're going to touch on a couple of different topics, nothing in particularly specific. First, we'll dive on into what's going on at current events. As you all know, the Olympics is going on right now, and I myself have been boycotting the Olympics due to their really satanic opening ceremony and their mockery of the Christian-based religion. I myself uh, consider myself to be a devout Christian, and I hold my religion in high regard. And I'm not going to support any organization, artist, or industry that blatantly disrespects and attacks Christianity as a whole. I believe completely 100% in the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, that he died for our sins and rose on the third day, and that he's the only path to salvation, the way, the truth, and the life. And my Paul, I feel that you feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. And me too. I am a Christian, and Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And I don't understand. Well, I do understand. I feel like, but like the why would you go and single out? Why is there this tenacious, you know, um, what's the word? Just this evil opponent kind of viewpoint of the mainstream media. And it's not just in Paris, it's everywhere. It's in our
Yeah.
entertainment industry, it's in, now in politics. Like they have all these, drag queens or whatever, you want to call them, they're transvestites, and if the you never see them. You'll never see a trans Muhammad. You'll never see a trans rabbi. You'll never see a trans Mormon that
Buddha.
they're making fun of. No, it's
Never see
always
a trans Buddha
Christianity.
or a
Right.
trans Hare Krishna or Shiva, you know.
And it makes you wonder, well, why do they always go against this one religion? Why is it always about mockery of the religion?
Well,
You
see,
know,
our religion teaches, forgiveness and turn the other cheek and not retaliating, but they know that if they attack and did like a trans Mohammed or something, that they'd be attacked not just verbally but physically by every Muslim on the planet. And sad to say that they Muslims almost outnumber Christianity, and the Muslims will, attack back with blood. Like, they'll send death threats immediately if you show an image of the Prophet Muhammad.
yeah.
But now, if you start doing something, um, towards the Prophet Muhammad, then, Muslims will respond with violence. But, Muslims should also, I mean, because they also believe and respect Christianity, they should, do the same kind of attack, when they talk about Jesus in that way, because, you know, um, you know, Jesus may not be the Muslim Lord and Savior, but I mean, he is a prophet in their eyes. So
Mhm.
I don't know why they don't show the same audacity, because they secretly hate Jesus, you know?
Well, yeah, and but I think that yeah, there is definitely a tactical reason where why they won't go after Islam is, yeah, because then you're going to have who knows how many jihadists coming after you. Christianity, or at least Western Christianity, has become more or less cucked because it's taught to turn the other cheek. But like that is actually like a misnomer and a misunderstanding of what Jesus was saying with, when he said that is when you say turn the other cheek, when it comes to people interacting with one another in life, we're gonna get on each other's nerves eventually. It's just part about, being people, is eventually you're gonna bump heads and disagree. It's like, and if you strike your brother as a Christian, we allow them to strike us, and then you present your other cheek, and it's not so they can just beat the hell out of you. It's so that way, if all right, you got one, but if you take another one, I'm gonna fight you. And the little Jordan Peterson has talked about this, but the literal translation of the word, and he's not a theologian and he's never gone to seminary, but I know quite a few people who've gone to seminary. I grew up in the church. The way that is being, another way to say that parable in the Aramaic, or at least the message it was trying to convey, is have a sword but keep it sheathed. In other words, you want to let cooler heads prevail, and if somebody offends you, all right, everybody gets one, and then but if they offend you a second time, okay, now it's time to throw down. And that's the original way in the context of the when it was written and said that's how it was supposed to be. Now what we have in modern Christianity is no, 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 just always turn the other cheek. Your reward is in heaven. Don't ever do anything, which I think is wrong. And I'm not saying that we should go out and do what the Muslims are doing, which is, and again, these are fundamentalist Muslims, not Western or secular Muslims. Would be their response would be violence. Whereas I'm not saying that we should do that, but we got to understand, the context of what it's saying, and when is enough. They're always going to be going after and taking shots at Christianity, I believe, because it's the one true religion, it's the one true faith, it's the one true God that we're worshiping. They wouldn't go after somebody or something else or some other teaching that wasn't a threat to them and their way of life. So I think that because they're always constantly in the media, and weirdly sports is just so co-opted with this totally left-wing, global homo insanity, clown world, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know where that came from in sports, but it's like a thing now. And there's but anyway, the look at their symbolism will be their downfall. And tell me, look, if you watch all the drag queens at the table recreating the Last Supper, which pure mockery of Christianity, and they have three sets of six lights hanging over top of the table, so 666. And listen, they do this for a reason. Somebody did that, and made that artistic. Some art
Yeah, it
director,
was
project manager.
intentional, and they're saying, "Oh, it's just coincidence. We're sorry if anybody was offended." They're not sorry. They knew exactly what they were doing, you know? I mean, it's a direct, intentional attack on our religion, and you know, I haven't, been watching the Olympics, but of course I can't escape other people telling me about the Olympics and things going on with, oh, the female boxer who's not female,
Yeah.
or the horrible break dancing and stuff. It's hard to escape it because that's the major topic of what anyone's talking about right now. Not that the world is actually going to hell in a handbasket. It's just that what the most popular news is everyone wants to discuss.
Right. Well, we need our bread and circuses to distract us from what's really going on, which is a coup in the Democratic Party, which is the collapse of the economy of the West, and all these things, anything to distract us from the election. But I something that people don't really, I don't think the general public knows is when you talk, why do we keep saying it's a satanic mockery of Christianity? Because, like, if you don't know your Bible, if you don't know the religion, you're probably just saying, oh, it's just a bunch of drag queens. What are you talking about? They're doing a
Yeah.
picture. It's a picture from the Renaissance. Like, you're just kind of looking at it, like, more or less like surface level, as not understanding the broader context of what we're talking about. The satanic god is transgender. In fact, it's trans-species. It has, like, look at the goat. That's what it is. It's got the transhuman head with the female breasts and the phallic symbol in the middle of it. It's meant for chaotic confusion. Now, it's no different like than if you had, pick any other religion, like you said earlier. What if they were making fun of Buddha? Well, if they had a big, heavy set trans Buddha, he, she, whatever, people would be complaining about that, right? So if you see them taking, and they would call it satanic, and rightfully so, because there's only one religion with a trans god, small g, and
Yeah.
it's that one. So why are you in trying to infusing it again, perverting? And the devil can't create anything; he can only pervert and usurp, and guide. It's bad guidance. But that's what they do is they take something that has order, that is created with one order, male, female, man, animal, truth versus wickedness and the light, the darkness. And what do? They obfuscate it. They combine it. It's all about this meshing and
It's a
perversion of
perversion.
God's
Yeah.
creation. That's what it comes
Yeah.
down
It's
to. So
perverting the normal standard of creation. The Everything good that God created is corrupting it and making it evil. That's what they're trying to do. That's their overall goal. And it's crazy. Like when you have conversations with people who don't understand that, they're just thinking, oh, it's just coincidence, or they brush it off, and they're not awake to
Right.
what's really going on in the world. They don't see all the hidden meaning and hidden symbolisms in this, like music and movies and TV. Megan Thee Stallion just dropped a new music video where she literally turns into a serpent that eats men, and they're doing some kind of blood ritual
Yeah.
ceremony in front of a red blood moon,
Yeah,
so
look at Little Nas X. He was like this like nice, what is it? Teenage artist who came up
yeah,
on Twitter or whatever. I don't know the story, or TikTok or something like that. And the next thing you know, he's gay, and there's releasing shoes with blood in them, and
yeah,
like the thing is,
he's
it's not
having that music video, him basically sliding down a stripper pole to have sex with the devil.
right.
I mean, come on,
What
it's
here's the
terrible.
thing. Remove like the whole the artistic license from it. Look at it for what it is for a moment, and just say like, okay, it's stripper dancing with the devil as he mounts you in hell. Like, you know what watching that go down, okay, that's not my cup of tea, but I guess that's art to some people. Like, if there was like some secret evil satanic cult running the world, what do you think their artwork would look like? What do you
Yeah,
think it would sound like? Would it be drony and like really intense,
no,
foreboding,
would look and sound
808s
like that.
dropping? Right, and wouldn't they have strippers for the devil and all this serpent imagery? Like, you don't see that really. Like, look at even like Christian music or Christian artwork, like contemporary. It's nothing like that. It's not heavy-handed. You don't see Jesus like, getting beaten. Well, I mean, in the Passion of the Christ, you did, but that's a Mel Gibson movie, so it's going to be ultra violent. But
Yeah,
like in, aside from Mel Gibson, modern Christian contemporary music, look at even like modern Christian metal bands. It, or they've got Christian clothing designers. Like there is like you can find this industry and it does exist, and there's a lot of really good people working in it who are independent entrepreneurs and all this sort of stuff. Like, but by their fruits they will be known. Their artwork is very modest, very powerful and deep, and soft spoken. Then you have this bright, evil, shiny wickedness going on in front of you, and I just don't understand. If you were really an artist, okay, well, yeah, you're exploring your evil side, sure. When are you going to explore your, normal side? You don't, they never come back to the other side and just explore different genres of music or different genres of artistic expression. It always seems to be focused on this very, evil, uh, some people will call it art. I won't call it art, but it's this
it's not art.
representation of their beliefs.
No.
I think in real time, like what would an evil cult look like? What would their art look like? Well, it looks like that, and it's been seeping into Hollywood. I think it's been in Hollywood since day one.
Yeah, it's always been there. I think they're just more in your face with it now because we're in the end times. We're in the end game, and they are not hiding it anymore. They're trying. Their goal is to try and convert everyone into it, whether subliminally, blindly, or intentionally. Their goal is to expose everyone to it and have them. When you're singing out these songs, you're singing it. You're doing their realistic chants.
Yeah,
You're saying what there's power in words, and every time you say these words out loud, whether you're singing a song, whether cognitively or just unconsciously, you're chanting what they want you to chant.
yeah, they are incantations. Like music is a spell. That's why when we learn how to read and everything, it's called spelling, because your words literally produce your future. So do your actions. But more than our actions, our words determine, who we are and where we go and what we do, whether we accept something or deny something, whether it be drugs or, a friendship or anything in life. Is your words determine where you're going. So that's why your words are so important. So if you only sing songs that are about depressing things like hurting yourself and injuring yourself, oh, my life is meaningless, that's how you will feel. If you switch that and you start singing songs about positivity, about friendship, about, truth and redemption, that's how you will feel. Your actions follow your words. God spoke and creation became. And the word is God and the word was with God. He is the word. It's the vibrational element of, this, existence matrix that we live in, whatever you want to call it. it comes from God speaking to, and God loves singing. He really does. And I think that speaking, singing, I think they're, in this context, the same thing, because what we're trying to convey is the vibration of it's his waves of existence that
Yeah.
create reality. So
Yeah.
our
There's power
waves,
of life and death in the tongue.
yeah, and our waves create our reality, the what we put
Yeah.
out into the world. So if we're putting, if not only absorbing this stuff and making it, seeing these horrible images and thinking, oh, how does that imprint on your heart and on your, memories and all this, you're just filling up, more crud in your system, the fish tank that is your spiritual biology, and that needs cleaning too. So if that's what you're going to focus on, then you're going to get really muddied up. But if you focus on good things, and where I'm going with this is your point was subliminally, I can't say it, subliminally, that'll get to
Subliminally.
you.
Yeah. You got
And,
it.
and and what it does is it does bring you down. So if you're singing their words, pick whatever offensive song. And we all went to clubs when we were younger, and we all drank and had a good time and all this sort of stuff. But you don't really know what you're doing when you listen to these like really horrible and wicked lyrics. I keep using that word because that's what it is. If you delight in evil, it's wickedness. So if you have to understand that if you're saying these terrible things, whether they be violent, words like from, Eminem. I grew up, listening to Eminem just like every other, millennial. And he's got like you go back and you listen to it as an adult, you're like, this is kind of uncomfortable listening to some of this stuff. Like this is so ridiculously extreme, and that's the whole point is as a kid it's bad influence. You don't know what you don't know, and then this stuff is getting imprinted on you. It's very heavy subject matter, so it shakes you to your foundation. Sorry, sorry, my mic went out.
Yeah.
So and anyway, I'm being long-winded, but like
Yeah.
the point is
No, no.
the point of their religion is not only is it trans species transhumanism perversion of creation, but also their karma, the way that because they don't really judge in sins. What they judge is by like how they can get other converts. And that's why they, through their messaging, through their subliminal messaging, their words, if you play a song backwards, it says this stuff. To them, that's you speaking those words and you allowing the vampire into the room, so to speak. The devil can't enter your house unless he's welcomed in. So
Yeah.
by you saying these things in their weird world, they're recruiting you to be okay with whatever it is that they're doing. And you can go back and look at all the artwork that portends or broadcasts, prophesied, whatever you want to call it, like 9/11, the buildings coming down. There's a lot of weird like prophetic cartoons with like Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash, and these are just things off the top of my head, but they tell you what they're gonna do because they want to be brazen. They want it, and they want you to do nothing about it, and not call it out for what it is, because then you're accepting it. And that's where it all comes back to this. Don't, yeah, turn the other cheek. But if they hit you a second time, you have to, it's your duty to go out there and expose it for what it is. And that's what we're doing right here today.
Yeah. Yeah. So, just try to be more aware for all our listeners out there. Try to be more aware of what's going on and what you listen to and what you're repeating. I used to be an avid, huge Jay-Z fan. My brother got me into Jay-Z. I used to love, I knew all his lyrics, every song Jay-Z said. And it wasn't until the fact that I woke up that, this guy's saying some pretty evil lyric stuff. And, what about the artist? They usually say separate the artist, the art from the artist. But, his whole, principle and ideology is do what thou wilt, which is what Aleister Crowley and the Church of Satan, publishes is do what thou wilt, So, be more awake. He says stuff like, Jesus can't save you, I can. Life starts when the church ends, stuff like that, and it's just, once you wake up to that lyrics, you're like, you really just say that. Before I used to be blind to it and I didn't, I used to sing and just, you just love it. Oh, they hide it with good beats
Hmm.
and they just throw it in there with the lyrics and a good hook and a good chorus. And that's what they do. They rope you in there and they, drag you down with them. So, I went through and did like a huge purge off of my, music off of my phone and my playlist. So any type of satanic artist stuff, and I started downloading more Christian artists and Christian music, and just listening to that stuff. I do like there's still a lot of secular music out there that I do like in song. But if they do anything blatantly satanic or express their distaste for Christians or stuff, they're gone. I just cut them. And that that's what you have to do. You have to be cognizant. Don't support these people because they're actively trying to destroy you and just take your money whilst they're destroying you. You know?
Yeah, and and think about I think it's something like 70% of the United States identifies as or is a Christian or at least goes to church once a year. It's something like the vast majority of people go to church. And, a good portion of that 70% go to church regularly, right? And then 70% of those people are Southern Baptists. So you've got something like 200 million plus Christians in the country, Christian, and that, includes women, children, everybody. So then, well, I mean, if I was all about making money and I was an entertainer, wouldn't I want to cater to the biggest possible market? Like really, if you think about it, if the movies that make the most money are G-rated films. Why? Because two parents are going to bring their two plus kids to go see a movie. Whereas an
Yeah.
R-rated movie, an adult is going to go see it. At most, is going to bring a date, so that's only two people. So what you want is the broadest to make the most money. You want the broadest, appeal. And if the vast majority of people are Christians or at least have Christian values, have an understanding of it, and their fundamental, Western culture has been fundamentally, brought up on these Christian values, then you would think that you want to tell stories and, portray that to your audience as much as possible. But no, what do we get? We get what Hollywood gives us. We get what the music industry gives us. It's totally evil, totally corrupt, totally, slutty and gross. And why would they do that? It's because they want to shape the culture that way, not because they want to appeal to you. R-rated movies, like now the movies aren't as big as they used to be because most things are streaming, but like
Yeah.
R-rated, you were most likely to have a flop at the box office if it was R-rated. And so why would you make R-rated movies if you were almost guaranteed a flop at the box office? Well, because it's not really about making money, is it? It's about propaganda. It's about controlling the narrative of our culture and where supposedly we are in our times. Because really where we are is wherever you are in your neighborhood with your family in your faith,
Yeah.
that's what's really going on. But if we see all these images of a decrepit society of just people treating each other horribly all the time, this negativity, that's what we get as a society. And I think that more so what we get, and we're just seeing it brazenly in sports, in the media, is they it's not so much about giving people what they want. Because I mean, think about it. 0.02% of the population is trans, which is statistically zero. Like there's
Yeah.
like statistically that is such a small subsect of people that it's there's almost, you can say almost literally nobody in the United States. Now somebody say it's a million people. Yeah, sure, that's a million people, but over 350 million people, that's still statistically nothing.
Yeah.
So why is there so much? And even gay people is less than 2% of the population. So why are they so overrepresented in pop culture? It's not because people are dying to have this, information or these people put out in public. This is the way that they want you to go. And as long as they get one sheep, that's a customer for life, and that's somebody that's never going to ask questions. The people who get brainwashed by all of these things. So you can see the motivation is not only from their perspective spiritual, but it's also controlling the narrative of what they want the world, the United States, because this is international. We're talking about the Paris Olympics right here. You
Yeah.
know, this is what they want in their world. It's not what we want.
Yeah.
And not even, and you don't even have to be a Christian, a Bible thumping Christian to not want these people to come after your children. You don't have to be a Bible thumping, zealot to say what, like, I think it's in poor taste to make fun of the biggest, most successful, like, even if you don't believe in Christianity, it is the number one religion in the world. Why
Yeah.
don't you think it's a little uncouth to go after that in a sporting event? Like,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
mean, and it's not just being broadcast to the United States or just to Paris. It's the whole entire world.
yeah,
All
that's
the
a good point.
nations of the world are competing in these games, and So it's sending a message to the entire world, and it's not, oh, we let the artists have their creative freedom and run with that. No, it's not that. It's you knew exactly what you were doing and what message you were trying to get across and convey. And it's just despicable and disgusting. And I think more people should speak up about it, or do what they do. I know people have been boycotting it, the Olympics in general, like I have, but they really should, say something about it, because it costs cities like Parisians. They are, the amount of money that France and Paris spent on the Olympics, for them to sit there and just, take a dump on Christianity, and sit there and taking all their taxpayer money for that. It's just horrendous. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah, it's just it's beyond the pale. And uh you had me thinking about one other point, and then my brain went blank. So I'm trying to
that's
think
all
about.
right. Well, let's segue into our next topic, though. We don't want to stay into this too long. So, another big news in the crypto market is the XRP case for the company Ripple has been settled. And Paul, you can give more details regarding that.
Yeah, not settled, but we got summary judgment, which is okay. That means the judge said this is what it is. Neither party could meet in the middle. But so I've been if you don't know about Jarrell and I, we've worked in banking for several years, and we what I've been doing is I've been looking into cryptocurrency as, the future of digital finance, and we are both interested in this topic, so we figured we would share it with you. And like we keep talking about something called XRP, and Ripple SEC and the SEC lawsuit, and what the heck does all of that mean? So let me share my screen real quick. Well, you know what? I'm not going to share my screen. I'm
Yeah.
just going to read to you real quick. So what is XRP? So XRP is the native cryptocurrency of the XRP ledger, which is an open source public blockchain designed to facilitate faster and cheaper payments. Sending payments overseas using the legacy financial system typically takes 1 to 4 business days and can be expensive. Enter XRP. So what the heck does that mean? What is a cryptocurrency I can't even say it. Public blockchain ledger.
Yeah,
Like
so we all
these are
heard of Bitcoin,
right.
and we know there's a lot of people that made a lot of money off of Bitcoin, but why is XRP special?
So the XRP, there's this company called Ripple, and they are the company that operates the XRP ledger. They're the men who and women who created XRP, a digital cryptocurrency, right? Just like Bitcoin. They built this because they saw the flaws of Bitcoin and its limitations. There's very few Bitcoin. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. It's very difficult and very expensive, very cost inefficient to mine it, and it's to send it to your friend. If I wanted to send you a Bitcoin, I'm it's at best on their Lightning network. It's going to take an hour for me to get it to you, and it's probably going to cost me a ton of fees. Like sometimes people have to pay up to a third of their transaction in just fees for sending this, Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was made back in 2007. When I was graduating in high school in 2006, we all had flip phones. This is the, technology that we had back then. DVDs were still a thing, right? So I think Blockbuster was still open. So this is the level of technology that Bitcoin is operating on. Well, enter XRP, which is the new and improved version of it. So what what I think, and I would think it's safe enough to say what we think, is this open source means anybody can access it, public blockchain. So it's just literally a giant Excel file that anybody can go in and make sure that, okay, well, he sent this cell over to somebody over here. I'm going to send this one to this. You can track the financials. So it's the ultimate way to pay for companies to pay each other. And it's basically no cost. And it happens in 3 seconds as opposed to Bitcoin with an hour. And it costs, I think, 4/1000ths of a penny to send the crypto at any distance. As long as you have an internet connection, you can send it. And if you don't have an internet connection, they have a fix for that as well. So what I'm thinking is this crypto is going to be what the banks are going to use in the future, to pay one another faster and at less cost. I used to work for a bank. I don't want to say their name, but they're just a
Yeah,
giant. They're a
yeah,
they're a
giants.
giant investment corporation, and I worked in their valuations department, which means I had to read the receipts of these transactions, these giant mega trades that would go forward. And as luck would have it, my brother worked in actually sending the transactions through. So if Bank of Egypt wants to send Bank of Brazil $1 billion, and they wanted to use this bank that I worked for as an intermediary, they had these things called Nostro Vostro accounts, like think coming and going accounts that send each other the money. Okay, pretty simple. But the problem is it takes like sometimes 30 business days for these funds to go through. At best, 3 business days for the money to actually get there. So what's the money doing in the meantime? And what happens if the payment actually fails? So the banks use something called the SWIFT system, which is basically a glorified email system from the 80s, and they still use it today to pay each other. And all it is they go, okay, we've got our Nostro account with $10 billion, because they can't move it because these transactions are so slow that they have to have pre-funded accounts. And then the bank over here says, all right, I've got my Vostro account with $10 billion in it. Send me an email through Swift that says that some of the money that's parked in your Nostro account is now my money in my Vostro account. So it's a very inefficient, very ridiculous, antiquated way for banks to pay each other money in the same pool of basically what it amounts to frozen money.
How does
Well,
XRP solve that?
it makes it unleashes all that money by basically creating pools of liquidity. In other words, if XRP can send $1 billion, if one XRP is worth $1 million, so all you have to do is send $3,000, or excuse me, 3,000 XRP instantly, and you don't need a pre-funded account. All of that money can now go back into the economy. All that money is now not a huge asset risk, risk on asset, excuse me, for the banks. It allows them to pay each other faster, more efficiently, and handle less counterparty risks, because the counterparty risk with a payment, which ultimately amounts to a message system that fails, is insane. So it solves a problem for the banks. Now, Bitcoin is all about, anti-bank, super libertarian. We're going to defund the banks and everyone's going to use Bitcoin. Yeah, that sounds really nice, but that's like saying, a bicycle is better than a Ford F-150 for getting around. It's like, no, it's just not. They both do something which helps you get from point A to point B faster than you could walking, but one is clearly better than the other. So what I think XRP is the Ford F-150. And the cool thing about this Ford F-150 is it's actually runs at less cost than the bicycle, is cheaper. And I I, I can't get too excited about this, because this is like a once in a generation financial wealth transfer that's going to happen. And so what I think is happening is these banks are starting to ramp up by, you know, buying XRP and holding it on their balances. And so, yeah, that's like the shortest version of me to explain it. Just to summarize, is if I told you there was something that would allow banks to pay each other for faster, more money, and for cheaper, do you think that whatever that thing is will be worth a lot of money someday when all the banks adopt it? Well, what if we were just before adoption?
Yeah. So right now, you're saying right now, while XRP is standing at 57 to 60 cents XRP token, it's the best time to invest it now, because later it's going to jump into those Bitcoin related prices. It's going to be over $10,000. Those days of buying, 50, 60 cent XRP tokens will be gone here in the near future, possibly by 2025. And we'll start seeing XRP worth the same price of Bitcoin, even if not even greater, because it effectively supposed to replace Bitcoin as a better digital currency. So
Yep.
right now, for all our listeners out there, you should. It's not no financial advice, of course, but definitely, if you're looking for something to invest in or cryptocurrency, I think XRP would be the best way to go, as opposed to just traditionally investing in the stock market. Excuse me, can't speak English, or just other cryptocurrencies like meme coins. Like if you can afford Bitcoin, yes, by all means, invest in Bitcoin, but you're only getting fractions of a Bitcoin unless you can drop 60K, to get an exact Bitcoin token. I mean, and you may see a $10,000 profit on it if Bitcoin goes up to 70,000 again, but with the XRP, there's a lot of potential for that coin to explode into the market and for you to gain a lot of money. So, I mean, if you invest, a couple grand into XRP, you just got to pick out, which side of your yacht you want to do backflips off of in the future and by 2030. Am I going to do backflips off the front end of my $30 million yacht or the back end of my $30 million yacht? So just something to keep in mind as with this SEC ruling ending. So your
Yeah,
thoughts, Paul?
yeah. That and I with their so earlier I mentioned that Ripple is the company that basically the creators of Bitcoin or started this company or were hired by a company named Ripple, right? Or not Bitcoin, excuse me, I misspoke. The creators of XRP
XRP.
um, are now work for a company called Ripple, and Ripple has partnerships with financial institutions and even as well as central banks across the world, who are looking for a cryptocurrency that's fast and efficient. Now, they got into hot water with what I think is a very corrupt SEC, or if you don't think it's corrupt, then fine. It's clear that it's a very hostile SEC, towards digital assets and entrepreneurial companies that are working in that, forum. But the summary judgment just came down that not a year ago, it was the judge stated that as dicta to the case, so it's just a matter of fact. XRP in and of itself is not a security. So boom, we have legal clarity. It's not a security. If a financial institution buys it, there's no sort of negative illegal ramifications or anything that can come from that. So we've got a green light there. And then the SEC requested the judge, penalties and disgorgement from Ripple for selling for basically fundraising using XRP in 2014. The SEC said that they should be fined $2 billion, right? Like enough to bankrupt the company. Well, the judge came out and said, all right, well, they did do something that was untoward, but it wasn't, highly illegal. What they did was something that wasn't necessarily categorized, right? It ultimately ended up to like an administrative infraction.
Yeah.
An administrative infraction is what they ended up doing. So the judge said, all right, you owe $125 million in fines, case dismissed. 94% lower than what the SEC asked for. So Ripple is happy because they don't have to shill out $2 billion for, trying to operate their business without any legal clarity from inept or corrupt SEC. And the SEC is happy because they get to say, oh, we won a case. We fined a crypto company, $125 billion. We're really tough on crime. So the SEC has 60 days to appeal this case, which means October 7th, there's no way to appeal it anymore, right? So you're hoping that they don't appeal, because that means that the runway is clear and that Ripple, this company that uses XRP as part of their tech stack, is what they call it, their suite of products, of payment products that they offer towards banks and central banks and financial institutions. If the runway is clear for them to do business, you're looking at extreme adoption and extreme price appreciation for XRP, because if it can't be cheap at 60 cents in order to be this, fundamentally earth-changing product for cross-border payments, because every time you use XRP in a transaction, it burns 1,000th of 1% of XRP. So it's disinflationary because it's always going away just a little bit. So if you're sending a lot of XRP, because it's, these are for big payments, if you're sending a lot of it, that's a lot of burning of XRP. Well, we don't want to burn it because we want as much as possible for as long as possible. So you need the price to be very, very high so you can send as few XRP as possible to be worth as much as possible for these transactions, for these banks to pay one another. So it can't be dirt cheap. We're in an interesting point in history where, a lot of people have asked me very and it's an honest question, but they're kind of pessimistic. You think you're going to get rich off of this? What makes you think that, you're going to get rich? Like they're not going to let you get rich. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to
Yeah,
let you get rich. It's like, no, this every now and then we get to front run the institutions. Somebody
yeah.
came out with something. The banks didn't trust it when it first came out, and the retail investor bought in. That's why Bitcoin is so expensive. Banks, they do own it to an extent. There are some venture capitalists that own Bitcoin, but for the most part, banks don't really own Bitcoin, like compared relative to what they own in other assets, in real estate. So it's just like 1% of, their investments at best.
Yeah.
So nobody is in this, market. But
So,
well,
yeah,
what I was going to
just
say is the retail investors got to front run the institutions, one of the
yeah.
first times in history we've ever done it. So now is the time to get in before they get in and adopt it and price all the average Joes out.
So, this brings up the interesting point, that you said that it's a once in a generation thing. If you believe in the 100-year Great Reset, every 100 years, there's a Great Reset, and, new millionaires and new billionaires and trillionaires are being groomed. This is the opportunity to get in on the ground floor and be part of that new 1% when XRP takes off. But not to beat a dead horse, we only have a few minutes left in this today's episode, so we're going to go ahead and segue into our last topic, the political debate. If you want more XRP information, just Google Ripple SEC, and there are tons of information out there, tons of other content creators that provide excellent information pertaining to XRP to get your latest XRP news. So I was on vacation this past week, so I didn't really pay too much attention to what was happening with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Heard Kamala had a rally where there was nothing but paid actors there. Everybody in the audience was paid, and there was even people CGI'd in there, but to support Kamala. And I think the whole Kamala Harris thing might not even pan out. We don't even know who her running mate's going to be, but she might not
Walls,
even
no, she
stay on the
picked him.
ticket.
She picked him. Tim Walz, Minnesota's governor,
Oh, she did?
who's maybe the most liberal governor in the United States. Yeah.
Oh, oh,
And he's a
oh,
stolen
okay.
valor guy too.
See, I told you I was on vacation. I didn't even know. So Tim Walz and Kamala Harris.
And
So
and
Harris
he's
Walz will be on
yeah.
all the bumper stickers and propaganda mail coming soon.
Yeah,
So
he's a piece of work too, and he's stolen valor. Like he says he's been to combat. He dropped out of the military when we went to war, so he is a real piece of work in his own right.
really, I don't know anything about this guy, so you can fill it in there. You heard it first. Stolen valor.
Yeah, and he wants to make guns illegal. He put tampons in the boys' bathrooms in public schools. He's supported abortion with no limit on when the baby can be destroyed. Um, just like, and then of course, like he allowed the riots to go on in the summer of love in 2020, the George Floyd riots. Minnesota got hit the worst. There was 33 people died in those riots. That there were business owners and just regular people that got caught up in it. And he basically downplayed the whole thing, let them never called in the police, and then the ones that did get in get arrested. Kamala Harris fought to have them released. So it's totally, and oh, and by the way, he's been to China 30 times.
Oh,
30
that's not
times
suspicious.
since he's taken office as governor of China. Like we were talking
Governor,
about, like we
Governor of
were,
China.
or sorry, governor of Minnesota. Like we were talking about, if like with the satanic media and the mainstream and the entertainment industry, if they were going to produce, if there was a satanic cult, what would their artwork look like? Okay, if there was a guy who was bought and owned by China and was basically a puppet communist operative, would he or would he not travel to China 30 times since taking office on taxpayer dime? I think he would. Just saying.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. That's the news. Oh, and Trump's ear miraculously is completely 100% healed. It doesn't look like any type of scarring or wounds.
I saw a scar. He's got a little. He had just a little nick anyway. It didn't really
Just a
get him,
little nick, huh?
but yeah, just there is a little nick there. You can
Yeah,
see
that's
it.
not suspicious.
No, I think he legit got shot, but I mean, it's like but at the same time, like his ear is healed up, but you can see where. I mean, if it's a video camera like across the room or whatever, a TV camera, or if you zoom up super close on your phone, you can't see it. But I have seen some close still photographs that it looks you can see like a pale splotch where like it seems like that's where his ear used to be, but it only got him a little nick anyway. It
Yeah.
didn't take out his head, fortunately.
So, yeah. Yeah, anyways. I still find all of that very suspicious. Don't believe in coincidences and never have, never will.
Yeah.
So, well, that's our episode today of Prasad Pod. I'm your host, Jarrell Prasad, and
Paul Campbell, your co-host.
yeah, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
All right, peace.